Hi guys, it's Amber. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm sitting in the car waiting for my OB appointment to come. And I'm whittling down the weeks. I can't wait to see my little guy. I can't be even more excited to be done being pregnant. I always get tired around 8 months. So I'm really glad that we're on the tail end. It's been smooth sailing, so knock on wood, I'm really excited about that. But being in baby mode again, it has me thinking. I had the unique situation where I am a mom of multiples, so I have twin boys, identical boys, and they are so cute and so fun. I love them to death. And I also have young kids all close together. So when my twins were born, they're my middle two. Sophie was barely a year. So I had 3 under 1. And then I had Zach. And so then I had 4 under 4. And depending on the time of year, because of their birthday, sometimes it was 4 under 5. But still, you get the point. They're really close together in age. So that made a huge difference in how I handled things as a parent, what things worked, what things didn't work. And now with preparing with baby number 5, has me thinking, do I need all this stuff? Did that really work for all those kids? Is it going to be needed for just one single baby? And I think this will, I don't know, I think a lot of people can relate to this. Even if you space out your kids and they're 2 or 3 years apart, a 3-year-old is not easy to manage while you're trying to manage a newborn. I mean, they're independent, they're running around, they're trying out preschool, they found their voice. So there's like a lot of things that can relate to a lot of situations. It's not strictly about multiples. But I gotta say, I looked pretty silly most of the time over the last 6 years with the kids. So the first thing I looked really silly on was grocery shopping. So think about it. Grocery carts, they come in different sizes. So I could only shop at certain stores that had big enough shopping carts for my kids. And here's the thing. The car seats, baby car seats, some of them would latch into like the little chair sitter thing, and some would latch on going horizontal across the basket. Some wouldn't. And so many times, it was like ridiculous. So I'd have to sit one kid into the basket with their, car seat, and the other one would hook on. And I'd have to put the food underneath the basket, which is really hard because some food are like small and they'd fall in. So it got real tricky. And then what do I do with Sophie? So I got the twins situated, but what do I do with Sophie? So I'd have a carrier and I'd put Sophie in. Well, I tried to do my homework, and moms raved about these carriers, and I did not use mine. Rarely did I use my carrier. Usually it was on a big outing where I had other family members to help me. It was rarely by myself. Sometimes it was hard to get them in and out, depending on what type of carrier you have. 2, I would lean over to pick up something, sometimes the bigger cans of yogurt or, plastic containers of yogurt sit at the bottom, and all the little ones sit on top at eye level. So I would lean over to get a yogurt, and there goes Sophie. I have to support her head and hold her as I'm trying to get her, so she's not whacking her head on food and carts and stuff. And so it was never a hands-free situation, even though it's got a little support thing. That's not designed for when I'm bending halfway over, which is also really hard to do, to bend over halfway, especially after having twins in a C-section. That movement alone, it probably made me lose weight faster just because of that. So that was pretty ridiculous, ridiculously hard. Then the other thing is, she was getting heavy. She's over a year now. So she was getting really heavy, and the twins are getting heavy. And so I would do 2 shopping carts. I'd put one baby in the basket and Sophie in the little chair thing, and another baby inside the basket, and then put my food on the second little chair thing. And I'd pull and push. It was quite the sight. I decided that it would be better if I were shopping at midnight than it was to be trying to haul the kids around shopping. And this is before delivery, mind you. That didn't happen until about a year later, or maybe a year and a half later. So it was quite the experience, let me tell you. And plus you're shopping for like babies. So like we needed to buy like boxes of wipes or boxes of diapers or formula or whatever we needed, kid food like that. I mean, that's a lot. Where do you stick all that? Like, your cart's already full from your kids. So that was pretty crazy, let me tell you. That didn't work. So I learned real quickly. Okay, I was shopping late at night. My husband commuted a long way, about an hour and a half every day each way, so 3 hours round trip to his work. And so I had to just wait till he got home. The kids were fed, put them to bed, and then I'm like, okay, see ya, I gotta go get our groceries done. So that was quite the experience. The other thing I did when the kids were bigger was they have like these little bungee cords that have like a little ball on the end. I don't know what they're called, but they're like little straps, right? So I'd get a shopping cart. This is when they were old enough to walk and wanted to be independent, and they wouldn't stay sitting still in the basket because I didn't want them to fall over or tip the whole basket over. All 3 of them would stand on one side, and they'd all fall over. And then I had Zach, and so Zach's car seat was sitting on the chair part, and all 3 of them were in there. So we would take these bungee cords and hook them, and they'd have to hold on to these little balls. Now, I got this idea from Pinterest, using strollers. So like if you have a little baby in a stroller, and then your toddler can learn to walk next to you by holding on to like a little strap. It seemed great, but it wasn't great. As long as I was going straight and the kids were going straight, we were good. The minute I had to turn on an aisle, I was either squishing some kids or I was whiplashing some other ones. It was quite the sight, I'm telling you. I was probably like one of those moms that people would stop and be like, oh, what is she doing? She doesn't have it together at all. I was trying, though. I was really trying to get it all together, but there's not really like classes in this stuff. You have to survive. We needed groceries. My husband's working. They weren't school age. We couldn't afford delivery, even if I wanted delivery. So what do? I would say I was sweating bullets. I never, ever had to go to a sauna. I was sweating just going grocery shopping. But my tricks, though, that did work was I always parked far away where there's no other cars, because it always took me a long time to get kids in and out. And I would park the shopping cart sideways into our van. So 1, they don't roll away, and 2, they don't get hit. And 3, they weren't trying to climb out because I was right there while I was buckling somebody else in. So I always parked far away so they weren't hitting other cars. It was safer that way. And I always parked next to a cart drop-off place. So I never messed with like the coverings. I would just get my wipe it down, put them in the end. And the shopping cart was there. So I never had to worry about like, is everybody holding hands? This is a road. They were already from the car to the cart, and then from the cart straight to the car. And I would walk far distances in order to make that possible. Even in the snow and the rain, and the kids would just, giggle and laugh that the rain's falling on me. We would just try to have fun with it. But I always parked far, far away and by a shopping cart drop-off place. That worked. The other thing we didn't think about with having so many kids close together is we bought a lot of car seats. Oh my gosh, everybody was always in the same size of car seats. And it is hard to get in the back to clip, carriers in. And it's hard to get past carriers to help little kids get seatbelts on when they're not independent enough to get seatbelts on. So one good investment that we did was we bought a van that had stow and go. So one of the chairs folded completely flat, so I could actually walk in, not standing, of course, I'd bonk my head, but I could walk in, buckle them all up, and then put Zach. Now with this last baby, it's getting kind of tricky because Zach's still in a big booster, and the baby will be in his infant car seat, and the other kids are in boosters, even though they're the smaller boosters. And so trying to maneuver the kids, we've been working really hard on seatbelts. They have to be able to get them on. But one trick I found that works for us is that I can reach them in the back. If I open up the trunk and stand in my trunk, I can reach them easily. So much more easy than trying to climb through my middle seats. So that was another trick I did that I learned. The other thing I learned was strollers. So being multiples, we knew we had to get some, multiple strollers. So the double long was too long. It's really hard to hold open a door and push the stroller through the door, even though it's narrower. So you don't hit quite as many things. It's harder to hold the door because you're pushing one-handed and you're trying to hold the door, but your arm's not long enough compared to the length of the double stroller. So we did the double wide. Now the tricky with the double wide is it's wide, so you have to go dead on or your wheel's going to be hitting. So that was tricky. And so my trick to combat all that, if my husband wasn't around to help me do the double strollers, because we had two sets, because we had like Sophie and Zach together and then the twins would be together, so we had two sets of double strollers. If he wasn't around, what I did was Wagon. So they have great fold-up wagons, and I busted through the first one really quickly because the tires weren't sturdy enough to handle the weight. So I got a garden one, which garden ones can be surprisingly sturdy. They have thicker wheels. Their frames are built different because they're hauling like dirt and stuff like that. So they handled the weight a lot better and maneuvered a lot better. Like a garden wagon or a wheelbarrow, but it's a wagon. So I threw all the kids in there. Now, it was heavy, 4 kids and me pulling, but the one I got had a bar instead of a handle. And the bar, you could turn the wagon so you're pushing, and you can turn the wagon so you're pulling. That helped a lot. So I could use both my arm muscles. I could pull and I could push depending on the situation. Like if we went to a farm, sometimes it was easier to push over the dirt than it was to pull over the dirt. So that was another trick I did with so many young kids, was wagon everywhere all the time. And even at the grocery store, sometimes it was easier to do a wagon if I only had to pick up a couple of things. I'd make them all sit in the wagon, and then each kid had to hold one item. You hold the milk, you hold the bread, you hold the eggs, you hold the cheese, let's go. So that got easier. It's still really hard to take the kids shopping, but we had a few tricks for the necessities. So we wagoned everywhere. The other benefit between a wagon is I could fit 4 kids in a smaller size and put the wagon in the trunk and it would fit. With a double wide stroller, the ones we got the lightest, most basic ones, and they would fold up to the size of an umbrella stroller. So we could hook 2 of them, strap them to our car trunk, and they wouldn't take up much space. The double long strollers, we still needed 2 of them, but they took up twice the amount of space of even the wagon because we needed 2 of them. So those weren't very helpful. We had no trunk space. They were heavy. They were hard to get in and out. So the kids didn't like being able, they couldn't see over each other. So the double wides are the way we went, and it worked out great. And I'm glad that we're kind of out of that stage now. It was a lot of work, but it was great. One downfall, though, to having a small umbrella type stroller, whether it's a singleton or a double, was that our kids, the little strap where their feet sit on, they actually would widen their feet and sit them on the wheels. So it made it hard to push because their shoes were rubbing against the wheels all the time. So my husband was strong enough, he would just tip them backwards and just wheel them, and the kids would laugh, you know. But I mean, I couldn't do that. So I'm like, get your feet up, get your feet up, get your toes up, put your toes back. So if you are in a situation like this, before you purchase something, an idea, I don't know if it's out there, we'd have to do a lot more research, but if you can find a way to heighten where their footrest is away from your tire, that will help keep the flow on if you have a kid that lets their feet dangle wherever they want. So that was a tricky thing. A couple tricks that I did with Zach is, like I said, Sophie and Zach were in a stroller and the twins were in a stroller. Well, Zach was little. Sophie was 2, almost 3 maybe. And we had Zach. Well, he was a newborn, but our chairs could lean backwards. So we put him in there. We didn't carry him in a carrier ever. We just put him in the stroller with us all the time. He was safer. He just laid there. We put the little baby support for his head and neck. So that's what we did, and it worked great compared to wearing a carrier. Our hands were free. The kids were safe. One caveat, never, ever, 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 ever have we put diaper bags on the strollers until the kids were way, way older, till they were like 3 or 4. Because if Sophie were to get out and there was a bag, I mean, the stroller could tip. I mean, you've seen those happen, right? So we always wore a backpack with our necessities, our diaper bags and stuff like that. The other thing is I always had the smallest diaper bag I could and kept a huge supply in my car, emergency bag. That one had all my extra clothes, my extra snacks, formula, diapers, bottles, whatever, burp cloths, whatever I needed. I only took one set in my small bag. If we had multiple problems, we just went back to the car, handled it at the car, then went back on our way. It was too heavy, too hot, too hard to wrestle with a big baby diaper bag where we needed 4 kids worth of crap in there than it would be just to go back to the car. So like Erasto could run with the baby or whoever back to the car while I was with the other 3. So that worked out a lot better. We really do live out of our car, and we still do. Potty training, the kids are at a park. The parking lot, a lot of times, the parks we go to, the parking lots were closer than the bathroom. I'm not going to leave 3 kids at the park and run one of my potty training kids over to the bathroom. There was a safety issue, and trying to grab all the kids were like little squirrels on this park, trying to get them all to go to the bathroom to be safe together. So we got a toilet in our car, a kid potty training toilet, and I would, cover them up the best I could, have them go potty, got home, washed it all out. They were on their way. It was much safer because I constantly could see my kids. We weren't behind closed doors. The kids were learning how to go potty, how to hold it, how to be independent. And so, that helped a lot during the potty training stages. Some people might think that's gross and unsanitary. Is the only way we could survive. Like, even if I made the kids go potty before we left the house, within 10 minutes, I gotta go to the bathroom. So, I would even let them go to the bathroom out at the grocery store. Or the restaurant, it was always, we're going back to the car. And you guys are going to be learning how to, hold it. But we had to be safe. I couldn't collect kids fast enough at a park. So, that was another trick. So now with this baby, things that, might change. I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, I don't need huge strollers anymore or huge wagons. I don't, shopping carts are going to be a whole lot easier. So I'm actually kind of excited. And therefore, things are being minimized, simplifying my life. I don't need all that stuff that I needed before. So we'll see what this baby brings up. I'm excited. So I have some more ideas about what I've done and some more stories and things that I'm going to do this time. And so check out my next videos. I hope you guys are having a fun holiday season, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.